What if the most important story that you'll ever tell is the one you were never allowed to speak out loud? What happens when we strip away the masks and finally listen to the stories that our hearts are trying to tell? I'm Raylan, veteran, healer, mother, misfit, and your unapologetically human host. And this is my heart of the story, a living, breathing biography of what it means to be fully alive. These stories aren't filtered or perfectly wrapped. They're messy, brave, sometimes funny as hell. We talk about the moments that cracked us open, the relationships that reshaped us, and the gold we found in the messy middle. Around here, we honor the truth behind the performance and the love beneath the grief and the courage it takes to show up anyway. Because healing doesn't always look pretty, but it's always worth it. So pull up a seat, laugh, cry, and swear if you need to. This one's for the rebels and the healers and the ones carrying the weight and still finding a way to dance. This story isn't just mine, it's yours too. So welcome to my heart of the story. All right, welcome back to my heart of the story, and please help me welcome back Bryan Cox, the ex-husband,
Hello.
former Marine, first baby daddy, you know, that guy. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. It's good
Yeah.
to be back.
Good. Yeah, good to be back. I have definitely found myself in this season of life very unmotivated, if I'm being completely honest. And so I'm really glad that you reached out to get me to get back on here. I got some new equipment. I haven't quite used it yet. I opened it up today and realized there's a lot of stuff that I need. So it was a good kick in the butt to get me to get my shit together. Oh,
No
thank you.
worries. I got some new equipment today as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I got some reusable snack bags for a kindergarten snack and
Oh,
an over the seat organizer for the back seat companion.
oh,
Yeah, good stuff.
good
Good
stuff.
stuff.
Gotta love it.
Amazon's killing me.
Trying to stay organized when you have small children is a challenge in and of itself. Trying to stay organized in general, but just trying to stay organized when you have small ones is a lot. I had three.
It doesn't come as a shock to you, but I'm all for that challenge.
Yeah.
Like I should be Brian Organization Cox instead of Brian Kevin Cox.
Could have a future there. If you find the most brilliant way to do it, please let the rest of us know.
Will do. You just gotta be super compulsive about it.
Well,
It is
it is what it is. I will tell you that there's not much I would change about my husband. I love him so much, and he is so perfect in perfectly imperfect in so many ways. But I will tell you that one thing that I wish that I could change about him is that he had a little bit more attention to detail and wanted to keep things cleaner and nicer around here. It's not his forte, not a strong suit. It's funny because the other men in my life, you, our son, and my brother you guys are all very much the same. Like, you guys, everything has its place. You're meticulous about things, that there's organization happening. Dylan, other end of the spectrum, doesn't have
oh,
it. Not
that's
important,
that's all right. We love him anyway.
but it is challenging. And the two little ones are a lot like him. Like, yeah. So, but in all honesty, if I'm being completely transparent, I'm kind of a messy person too. I didn't realize it until the last couple of years, and I'm like, oh, those are my messes. I'm not a dirty person, but I definitely have stacks of things.
Yeah. Organized chaos.
Yeah, organized chaos. That's what I'm embracing more and more about life. Is a friend of mine bought me this sign. It's in the living room, and it says, "You call it chaos, we call it family." It's just what it is.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's pretty fitting. So, what else is new with you?
Yeah, not a lot. Hannah is currently in Louisville for work. She just got back from England. She was in England a couple weeks ago, just checking in on her mom and dad. Her mom just had a hip replacement. and her dad, like, just seized up. Yeah, so she wanted to go over and sorta assess the situation. So she was over there for a week, and so that was a good for her to be able to go back and not have to worry about me or Sonny, just be able to be there for them.
Yeah.
She got she got a lot accomplished.
Good.
Yeah, she's back for some big Jack Daniels thing in Louisville right now. She'll be back on Thursday.
Nice. Um, do you find that the more I mean, when she goes off, like you and Sunny have a pretty good routine. You guys get things like got it nailed down at this point?
So, I don't wanna screw myself, but, like, I tell her this all the time. When she goes away, he's pretty much perfect. And I don't know if it's maybe it's my super OCD that I'm really on top of stuff, right? Because, like, when I go away and it's her and him, she still has a job, and I don't really have a job.
Yep.
So, in the morning, I'm not thinking about what work call I gotta be on or what meeting I gotta be ready for or none of that. I'm totally focused on his checklist and getting him to school.
Right.
What I mean?
Yep.
So maybe that's why it's easier because
Yeah.
I don't have to focus on anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just your sole focus is just getting
Yeah.
getting him out the door. Yeah.
Which is, we're probably gonna talk more about this, which is great. It's a blessing and a curse because and the only little curse is because, I'm 50 and I'm retired and now I've got a 6-year-old, but it's a huge blessing because I never got to experience any of this.
Right. Right.
Last Friday we had his Valentine's like little concert at school and like I could not stop smiling. Like I had my cheeks hurt
Uh-huh.
watching all these kids sing these songs. I never really got to do any of that. Mm.
Right.
So, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the older he gets, the easier he gets. The communication's better, not necessarily easier, but the
Right.
communication's better.
Right.
So,
Yeah. For sure. Well, I mean, that's good to have that. I'm always appalled, like, and no judgment to dads that are like, "Oh yeah, I got to babysit my kid." I'm like, "You got to babysit your kid? Like, you had something to do with that. That's not babysitting. That's called being a dad, right?" So
oh yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
I'm always like I said, I'm appalled when people act like that because that to me is not what it's about. So I'm always so happy when I see people. Dylan was like this, now seeing you like this, super hands-on, taking on the responsibility. I think it's really important for moms to well, first of all, we have to let go and be like, "Hey, you guys got this." And be
hmm
able to take that time. A lot of women maybe don't give themselves that, and then the dads just get comfortable inside of the, "Oh, well, she's got it. I don't really have to do it." They're never really stretched to the point of being like, "Hey, this is your responsibility. I'm going back to England to check on my mom and dad for a minute. I trust that you got this." So it goes both ways is what I'm saying, and so, like, good on you just for, being that. I feel like you are just in it at this point, and so, yeah, just, like, had to mention that.
yeah, yeah. I'm embracing it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We call ourselves him and I we're team awesome when it's just us. So You know, I just try to keep him. I try to keep it as positive as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
kids need that. I think it's really important for kids to have both dynamics because I imagine that when you go away, him and mom have a totally different dynamic as well. And so, it's more and more important. I just really feel like having that time with each of them. Like when our kids were growing up, having 3 of them, I remember sometimes, like, me and Harley, we were just talking about this the other day. I took her on a date to this, like, wildlife safari park, and, I would just not single any child out, but I would just make a point to take just one of them because every time it was all 3 of them, it was a shit show. I mean, it was. It was just
yeah,
an absolute shit show. Bryan
right.
was 7 years older. The 2 of them were so close together. They were just like it was like constant fighting, and so we made it a priority to do that with our kids, and I think I mean, just because of the fact that we just had this conversation the other day, I know like it had an impact on them to just feel that. So it's cool. And Dylan has always been that way and taking them, solo missions too and having that special time together. So,
Yeah.
anywho, cool, cool, cool. So I think this is a perfect transition. I think last time we ended with basically be getting ready to come into the world, come into our life.
Yeah, I think I kinda remember us talking about walking around your parking lot and then heading down to Balboa in the Rain,
Yep.
Metallica.
Mm. Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, so we
Yeah.
got there,
Yep.
and you you initially had not wanted any drugs, and then it got to a point where I wanna say you were like I wanna say you were maybe like 2 centimeters or whatever, and the pain was crushing your soul. So you were like, "That's it. Give me the epidural." But by the time it took them to go, like, get the waiver and the person with the waiver, and then they came back and they checked you again, they were like, "It's too late. Like, a baby's coming." And I remember it was, obviously, it was me, you, I think my mom, your mom, and Aunt Kathy were in there, Anna Banana was in there,
Jen had tapped out, had gone to take a nap and missed the whole thing.
and then there was another another nurse, and then the doc came in just to take a look, not in, like, doctor gear, I think he was in a shirt and tie, and, like, I always tell the story that you went from, like, 8 centimeters to kid in, like, probably, like, 20 or 25 minutes. I mean, it was quick. I think it was, like, 2 pushes, like, the doc had to change his shirt because I think water blasted out, whatever, and then there he was.
Well, peanut. Yeah.
Yeah.
My recollection of this is very similar to yours in they were like, "Okay, I think you're only like 2 or 3 centimeters." And in my mind, I'm like, "What? Like, I'm only at 2 or 3 centimeters? I have like 7 centimeters to go? There's no way I'm gonna make this." So I was like, "Give me the epidural." And like you said, between the time that it took for them to like go get the waiver and get the anesthesiologist or whatever, I remember looking over at Anna and I was like, I have to push. And she was like, no, you can't push. Like you're not even close. And I was like, oh, I cannot stop this. It's happening. So the nurse, I don't know what her name was, but she came in and she goes, "Okay, hold on, honey. No, you can't push. Let me check." And then she like lifts up the gown or whatever and looks. She goes, "Oh, honey, you're not getting an epidural. You're having a baby." And I was like, "No, what?" And then the rest of it was pretty. Yeah, the doctor didn't even get his gown or anything on, and B was born. And I remember being on the video. Well, so TMI, whatever, but this is I ended up tearing because it was so fast. Like, and so then the doctor was down there and he was trying to stitch me up and I was like, "Whoa, hold on a second." And he's like, "Oh, you can feel that?" Yes, I can feel that. So
Yeah.
then they gave me some drugs. So then I was super loopy because they had to stitch me up. And so then I remember somebody taking a video and I was like, 2 pushes. And I was out of it. And then, yeah. So, yeah, mom, all the grandmas there, their first grandbaby, all of them. Um, and he looked like a little tree frog, remember? He was
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah. He's a good-looking kid.
Still is.
Yeah. He is.
Um, yeah. And poor Jen, she had come down. Remember, she had her portals, her hula hoops.
Right? Work in the fields.
Work in the fields. And so my good friend from high school, the old Jen Sokolowski, brought down the magic tea that helped everything get going, got everything moving in preparation for delivery. And then, I mean, because that was, so I think we ended up going down to Balboa, like, what do you think? Like 11 o'clock at night, 11, 12, 1, I don't know,
Yeah, somewhere around in
somewhere
there.
around there.
And
It
he
was
was
raining.
born right around 2
He was born at 10:58 a.m.
or okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
and so I was laboring like that. That's why I was, like, finally like, "Give me the flipping epidural, cause
Right.
I had been laboring like that and I hadn't made any progress. And so then that's when I was like, "Oh my god, if I have even another 3 hours of this, like this is ridiculous. I feel like I'm getting like this is not happening." And so that's when I yeah, that's when I opted for that. But yeah, so it was a long night and Jen had gone out to take a little nap and she missed the whole thing. Poor Jen.
Yeah, it went pretty quick.
Yeah. Yep. And then your mom stayed with us, my mom and Kathy, because he was due, I want to say like the 21st, because I think that was my Uncle Ed's birthday. I think he was due the 21st and he ended up not coming till the 23rd. And so I
Mhm.
think my mom and Aunt Kathy had to like split and go to the airport, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember how long after he was born that they stayed.
Hmm.
For you. Maybe a day or 2.
I was gonna say I think I remember
God, that
like
was 25 years ago.
I know.
25 and a half years ago.
I remember too that they brought him into the room and they're like, "Okay, here's your baby." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. Like you guys aren't going to like take him to the nursery and let me get some sleep?" No, honey. You have a baby.
Yeah,
Do you remember his first little tar poop?
yeah. Oh, man.
This is an alien.
He's really gonna like this one. Sorry, B.
Oh, he's going to love it. Oh,
Yeah, so we went back. I think at the time, you were living you and Hope had a place in PQ, Rancho Penasquitos, and I had a place with Jack in Mira Mesa, and so then we decided it was time for us to
grow
get a
up.
house. Yeah. So we got a house 10179 Baroness Avenue.
Baroness Avenue, San Diego, California.
Yeah,
Yep.
not too far from base. Pretty cool
No, it
base.
was it was a sweet little place, yeah. So we when we yeah, because we basically took him home and I never went back to the place up there with Hope. I just we stayed with you at that place and then moved into the
Mhm.
house, the bigger house on Baroness.
Yep, and we had, like, 1,000 uncles,
Yes.
um, so that wasn't bad. We had that big Papasan chair, and I remember everybody used to just nap there with B on 'em.
Mm.
Warchol and Mike Ward and
Oh,
just
yeah.
all kinds of people. That was
Everybody
like a napping spot.
Yeah, everybody loved, I think I even have a video of my brother when my brother and Heather came down one time, sitting in that Papasan chair with Brian, and Brian was, like, pulling on the string on his shorts, and it kept snapping back, and Brian's just like that giggle that he had was just so fun, like, his laugh was I mean, all babies' laughs are the best, but ours was really the best. But yeah, that was a good that was a good place there. How old so I'm itchy. How Okay, so he was born in September of
2000.
2000, and we moved into the Baroness place, and I feel like it wasn't too long after that that you were on your next deployment. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, so I would've chopped to the Mew in February 2001,
Yep.
and if anybody's watching this that knows anything about the Marine Corps, I don't care what you say, this was the baddest group of dudes that has ever been assembled for a Mew, especially the flight line. I mean, our 15 guys were so strong,
Yeah.
um, and, yeah, so we chopped down to 163 in February. Which what CHOP means is we took 4 CH-53 Echo helicopters and attached to a CH-46 unit, which had 12 helicopters. They brought down 4 Cobras and 3 Hueys, I think it was at the time, or 3 Cobras and 4 Hueys, something like that from Pendleton. And then we also had 6 Harriers that worked out of Yuma, and that's what attaches to become the MEU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit. It was the 15th MEU. Um, and then so from February to August when we deployed, I I was gone a lot because we had several workups, right? We were on the ship, off the ship, on the ship, off the ship, on the ship, off the ship. We were out in the desert, Yuma or wherever. And then we deployed in August. And yeah, and then his first Well, and then let's see, what happened in September of 2001?
Right.
Oh, yeah, 9/11. Yeah, I was in a bar called the Vic in Darwin, Australia. We had been there for about 5 days doing work with the Australians, which is pretty common, and it was our last night there, so we had Liberty. So we were all in this place called the Vic. I will never, ever, ever, ever forget this. I was standing next to Lieutenant Colonel Haynes, who was the executive officer of the Frog Unit, and Captain Treglia, who was the recon officer, was shore patrol that night. He came by and said something to the lieutenant colonel, and I just remember turning to Colonel Haynes and saying, "What did he say, sir?" And he said, "Oh, nothing, Coxie, enjoy your beer." And he kinda just left, and it probably wasn't 5 minutes after that, they turned the lights on in the bar, shut the music down, and they came over the microphone and said, "If you're on the USS Peleliu, Dubuque, or Germantown, report back to the ship." And I was like, "Hmm." And of course, everybody's going out the bar and going this way back to the ship. And I grabbed Tony Rotako and I was like, "Let's go this way." And he was like, "Dude, we got to get back to the ship." And I was just like, that ship is not leaving anytime soon. We have at least an hour to maybe go try to make a phone call, try to figure out what's up, and have another beer.
Yeah.
Um, So we went like a couple blocks down, a block over, found this little spot. Probably had like 8 or 10 Aussies in there huddled up around this TV. And I kind of walked in, I was like, "Are you guys open?" And they were just like, "Oh, sorry, mate. Can't believe this, whatever." And I'm like, "What happened?" And they were like, "Somebody's flown planes into these buildings and all this jazz." So I can't remember if I was able to talk to you because let's see, you would have probably been getting ready for work or just going to work. But then we got back on the ship and we pretty much went kinda straight off the coast of Pakistan. And, and then, yeah, and then shortly after that, we invaded Camp Rhino, Afghanistan, which is the longest amphibious raid in Marine Corps history. Um, so the MEU is supposed to be set to work 15 to 30 days offshore up to I wanna say it's like 100 or 200 miles inland is like the reach, and we were there from October 7th to January, like, 10th or 11th maybe, and we were 450 plus miles. I mean, the raid was over 450 miles, like, we had to aerial refuel to get there, and, yeah, and from Rhino, we went up to Kandahar and took that over, and then Kabul, and then Bagram, and it was real shit. And then, I did get to make a phone call on B's birthday, though. I
Mhm.
did get to talk to you for B's first birthday, which
Mhm.
fitting was at Hooters.
Yes, it was.
So,
Um, so I very clearly remember, um, I've never been a watch TV kind of person or a news kind of person in the mornings, and so I didn't get up in the morning and turn TV on. I got up in the morning, got Brian ready, and went to drop him off at Julie's because Julie was our
yeah.
daycare provider at the time, my friend Julie from high school, which was just crazy. Total side story. But so I dropped her off there and caught wind of basically the attacks, got into the office. And I feel like it was like that morning I was in the office, which would align with the timeline for you being there. And I swear that we had a conversation and it wasn't long, but it was like, you know where I'm going. And
Mhm.
I love you and I love Brian. And then for sure remember having the conversation on his birthday. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but your mom flew, old Libby Hill flew like 8 days, 8 or 9 days after the terrorist attacks of 9/11. That brave ass woman got on a plane and flew out to be at her first grandchild's birthday party. We had his birthday party at Hooters. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. And so, yeah. So this dream team that was assembled of all of you guys had known each other for years. You guys had worked together. Obviously, I believe that, like you're saying, all of the time that you had put in and all of the things in the trainings and stuff, and then now the shit is like actually fucking real. And you guys find yourself out there not just in, I mean, in the middle of it, but like pioneering in a way this new kind of era. I mean, how would you call that? How would you describe that?
I mean, we had, as far as the 53 detachment in the unit, we had one person that had real life experience. That was Major Zaretic. He had been in Desert Storm, and all the rest of us had zero real life stuff. There were a couple frog guys that were in Desert Storm. I mean, you just kind of did it. It sounds stupid to say that, but like when we got to Camp Rhino, being that far from the ship, we had very little support. Like the only support we had was what we were going back to the ship to get and bringing, because we were really the only one that had the legs to get back there, as far as that long of a flight. And Camp Rhino was this desert airstrip. Uh, and when I mean desert, like when we landed there the first night, like I can remember saying, 20 feet out of reference. And then we got on the ground. And then, like, when we debriefed, I remember saying to Major Reddick, like, that was a really good landing, and he was like, when you said like 20 feet, I have a reference. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I couldn't see shit. And I was like, so I mean,
Mhm.
you really got to trust, um, the 53 really is a crew serve weapon, and there's a lot of trust between the officers in the front and the enlisted guys in the back. It's a team effort. Um, and we encountered quite a bit of our own issues. Once we got that place like locked down, they were able to start bringing in C-130s and then C-17s, to just kind of bulk it up, and once we had a foothold there, and like seeing a C-130 or a C-17 land on a desert airstrip, if you can imagine like the space shuttle when it takes off and that just giant smoke cloud behind it, and then
Mhm.
turn it horizontal. That's
Yeah.
what it looked like when they were landing or taking off. Um, and there was an incident where a C-130 was coming to, it was taxiing in to refuel us or something, and it got too close and it clipped one of our blades. So we had to change a blade out there with no crane. We had uh, no test equipment, and so we pretty much just changed it and kind of kind of went with it. Which you look back on it now and it's kind of shady, but we had no other choice.
Right. Right.
We were in a situation where we just had no choice, and we had this two-star general in charge of Task Force 58, whose name was Mattis, who's probably one of the baddest Marines to ever walk the face of the planet. Um, he's no nonsense guy that wanted shit done. I remember a night, uh, you couldn't leave the tent without your battle buddy, right? And Warchall needed to go take a number two. Uh,
Go.
yeah. So, we had dug holes in the ground and then taken wooden pallets and, kind of beat out the middle of it and set it over the holes so that you actually had something to sit on. And we were sitting back to back. Literally, our backs were touching. We were pooing in tandem. Um, and I remember seeing this flashlight and like Warchall was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And you just hear this, "It's Mattis." And we're like, "What the fuck?" Like two-star general is out walking the line by himself, checking on Marines. the most uncomfortable feeling as he stood there for 5 or 10 minutes as we finished our business, just chatting us up, making sure we were good. And you're like, I can't, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I can't believe I'm in this situation. We were assigned, we dug our own fighting hole, which was really uncomfortable because I'm a helicopter guy. I'm not a grunt. And we were assigned a ground guy to like kind of guide us in the fighting hole. And of course, at the time, right, we're like, all right, we'll get all the boys in the fighting hole, right? So it's like me, Tony, Ryan, Warchall, Eric Feldman. It's like four sergeants. And they give us a PFC, and I'm like, all right, what are we supposed to do here? And he's like, Sergeant, this and that. And when we're like, whoa, dude, you're in charge. Your job is to tell us what to do to get us back to that thing, and then we'll go do what we do. Like, yeah, it was insane. There were a couple of nights where they tried to probe the line and they would come up in their little trucks and you'd run to the fighting hole and some people would shoot at them, some people wouldn't, depending on which way they were coming from. And I mean, it was fly by the seat of your pants shit
Mhm.
because we didn't have any. First off, we had no, we weren't even supposed to be there.
Right.
Like, so we were just winging it. y- like it just we were literally just winging it. There really wasn't a flight schedule. I mean, I'm sure there was somewhere, but it was just we need to do 2 planes today, and 2 planes went. And,
Mhm.
you know
So if like, just for, I guess, reference, like, had September 11th not happened and you guys were just on your regular, MEU deployment, what does that look like in comparison to what you guys ended up in? And as far as being either equipped or not equipped, and like you said, like you were in it, and so you guys obviously had to use your training and like you said, wing it, just like be in the, in it. Like there was no other choice, obviously. So what would that have looked like, or how much of a difference, I guess, and preparedness?
Oh, yeah, well, we would have been I mean, we still hit Hawaii on the way out, and then we went to Australia and did that part, which was planned. We stopped in East Timor for a couple of days and did work there, but, like, I mean, we would have probably hit we would have pulled in port at Thailand, maybe the Philippines, somewhere else in Indonesia. Like, the boat just kinda cruises around, it's a presence, right? Kinda keep North Korea and China at bay. We would have Yeah, so, like, there would have been more port calls, more places to work, a lot of time just in the ocean, and all that shit got shut down, right? So
Right. As far as, like, equipment and stuff that you have, were you guys I mean, you guys it sounds to me like you guys were equipped for the work that you would have done in those ports, being a presence, but when it came to then, okay, you're going into, I mean, you're going to battle.
yeah.
Like, nobody could have, like, I mean, it kinda sounds asinine because 'cause you're just like, "Oh my gosh, it doesn't seem like that ever could have happened," and yet it did happen in our lifetime, and so, you know, I'm sure it had to have changed the game for it to be like, "Okay, we need to be prepared for anything," even though, like, you would assume that because of the military and because of it being a presence that you would have been prepared for anything, but I get the sense that it was not quite that. It was like shooting from the hip.
No, I mean, like, the rounds that they broke out for us to use, I mean, when you pop the top off the box of rounds, like, the smell of alcohol that they soak it in so it doesn't rust was I mean, it was disgusting. Like, these rounds some of these boxes of rounds, I think, were packed in, like, the '70s.
Oh, shit.
Like, they had to break out the ship's, like, war lot, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and, yeah, it was just it was slow, but it was chaotic. Um,
Mhm.
taking over Kandahar was, uh so then they started sending reinforcements, right? So the East Coast MEU floated over and joined us. So then we had 4 planes from the East Coast MEU. So now we're up to 8, and
Mhm.
then we had 361 sent out another 4 planes.
Mhm.
So we had 12 possible aircraft. We didn't have all 12 there at one time because of the cycles of inspections and all that jazz. We would cycle them back to the ship, work on them, cycle them back in. Um, um, yeah, so I was with this, uh, I think it was a 361 guy, Major Hurd, when we took over Kandahar, and, like, we're sitting there on the deck, and there's just explosions going on down here and tracer rounds and all that, and he says over the radio, "This is a Charlie Foxtrot in the first order," and he kinda had a lisp, and, like, one of my guy on the tail was like, "What's a Charlie Foxtrot?" And Feldman's like, "Clusterfuck, bro," and, and we're having this conversation while all this shit's going on.
Right.
And, like, then when we started living in Kandahar and the army moved in and they brought, it was no longer 2 MREs a day. It was now we had these big, like, plates of field rations, so almost like a giant casserole dish of scrambled eggs and a giant casserole dish of sausage links and,
Mhm.
um, I remember seeing these German dudes and I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture with you guys?" And they're like, "We're not supposed to be here." And I was like, "Ha, that makes 2 of us."
Right.
Like, you think we're supposed to be here too? Like, I mean, we would walk around. I got a picture of me, Feldy, and Rotako holding this RPG that we found in this old, torn up house, whatever, mud structure. And then like 2 days later, they had it roped off because it hadn't been checked for mines. And we were like, oh, we were just fucking around in there.
Right. Just
It was
just
just
taking some selfies here with this.
It was just nuts, like, every other night, they're sounding the horn, and we're running out to the fighting holes because they're trying to probe the line, and, and we still, I had facial hair because we didn't have showers, a shower consisted we're lucky with our helicopter of having the hell hole in the middle of the cabin. We would open the hell hole and, like, Warchol would strip down, I'd pour a bottle of water over him. He'd freeze his ass off, pits and slits, and then I'd pour another bottle of water over him, and then he would that was it. That was our shower.
Mhm.
Um, they asked us to try to shave if we could, but we didn't have hot water, we didn't have running water, we didn't have electricity.
Right.
It was just I guess it's how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but as
Um,
the
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna so as the army started to come in force, right, in Kandahar, we started to get that stuff, and so it did make life, I guess, a little easier, but then from there, we pushed forward, up
Right.
to Kabul and Bagram and all that, and, yeah, it was just I mean, it was nuts.
How so just for reference here, your age at that time?
I mean, August of '01, I would've turned 26, so I was 26.
Yeah. So our son's age here soon, like within the next, whatever. He turns 26 this September. So,
Right.
yeah. Now, I remember we have a picture of this and you're getting ready, you're packing up to go to one of these trainings and I can't remember what it was. And this is prior to all of that, but this is during that period of time between when Brian was born and when you left for the MEU. And you had to go off to some kind of training. And Brian, you have him in the backpack. Remember the little black backpack and it's got the star on it and he's in the backpack like he's going to take off with you and go.
I do, yeah. I
Um
think I think that picture's on the wall.
so there's that reference that I wanted to ask you about, like that training. But before I do that, I also wanted to tell you that my cousin Rachel sent me a box of pictures recently with our Christmas package this year. And when Brian was home, we were going through them. And a couple of the pictures was one of them was my mom holding Brian, waving, and you were on the ship waving back.
So that was the next deployment.
Okay.
It's
Mom down there though.
well, so when we got back from Afghanistan in 2002, um, we got married.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then Saddam Hussein started running his mouth, and then there was this huge push in, January of '03. So they sent 7 ships from San Diego, and we took the entire squadron on the ship, all
Okay.
16 helicopters. And I was one of the 4 that chased the ship. But before then, when the ship was in port, we took the helicopters down and landed on the ship while it was in port, which is not something you do because you're supposed to be in the wind and all the stuff. But like, I remember that as I think we got a call. I think I got a call on like, I don't know, I'd say a Thursday to come to work. Or no, it would have been a weekend or because I
Mhm.
was in at work. Saturday or Sunday to come to work. And I think we left like 4 days later.
Yeah.
It was it was quick. And so I crewed the first plane down there to land on the ship. And I don't know why your mom was in town, but
Mhm.
we knew where I was gonna be and when I was gonna be, so you guys went down there to watch me land on the ship.
Oh, that's right. So
Yeah,
that's a little fast forward, which I didn't mean to divert us from what we were talking about, but I just wanted to tell you that he looked at me and he goes, "Can I have these?" And I was like, "My God, yes, you can have those. Please take them." So he took those pictures and has them now, which we haven't like I haven't pulled out pictures in so long that I just feel like one of the next times he's here, I want to be able to do that so that he can have some more of those memories and stuff because that was huge for him. Like him and I have talked a lot about it. So, anyways, okay.
cool.
So, going back, what was that training called that you went? All I can recall or remember is that they locked you guys in a like as if you were, kind of like a training or a simulation if you got captured. Oh,
Oh, SEER school.
yes. Yes. Would that have been the right time? That would have been about that time, right? Brian was little,
Uh,
barely.
yeah, so I did go to SEER school later than like I should have. So, I mean, I was a sergeant, so yeah, it checks out.
'Cause
Um,
I very, specifically remember for some reason that age frame of him and you having to go away for that training, and that associating that picture with that. So, you know me, I can't remember shit, and you said you have a
yeah,
incredible memory.
that would have been probably one of them for sure. Yeah, SEER school stands for survive, evade, resist, and escape, and it basically teaches you how to be if you are shot down or have to be down behind enemy lines, how to survive, on the land, how to evade the enemy, and then if you are captured, how to resist um, their interrogations, and then how to escape.
Yeah.
And there's 2 schools. There's one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. Obviously, I went to the one on the West Coast, and it's run by the Navy, and these guys are trained to get information from you almost with like no means necessary. I mean, they hit you, they
Mm.
starve you, freezing cold. They put you in this like dog pen with a coffee cup as your urination and defecation device. That's what they called it. They hit you with a ton of propaganda against the US. And you learn a bunch of stuff afterwards, like for the debrief, like my interrogator, his breath smelled so good. And when I found out he was the same rank as me, he was an E5 in the Navy. And I was like, dude, you're freaking amazing bad guy. I was like, your breath smells so good. He was like, Jolly Ranchers. He's like, I do that you know, to make you
Right.
want, the guy that was in charge of the propaganda. And I mean, he was so believable. Like starving, you're sleep deprived. I can see where people could be like, you know, yeah, man, fuck my country. They're not helping me. They're not coming to get me. Help these guys, right?
Mm.
He actually was at Hanoi Hilton in Vietnam as a POW. And he's the guy, if you've ever heard the story of the guy that memorized everybody's name in there into a song,
I've never
that's
heard about
him.
that. Okay.
That's him. Like he would sing, he'd be like, there was Smith and Bryan and he memorized everybody's name in there.
Wow.
So it was him that worked with this group as a civilian to do this. And, then at the end, there's this like big fight, right? And they burn an American flag, which this is a place in the US that is qualified and to discard of tattered American flags. They do it respectfully. Looking back on it now, it was in a pretty nice fire pit. They do it for training. and these are flags that have been deemed unserviceable. So they're qualified to do that. And they start to put up their flag, and then their flag comes down, and then an American flag goes up, and they play the national anthem. And a lot of people start crying. I got tears in my eyes for sure. And I don't know if I was teary-eyed because of my patriotism or teary-eyed because that kind
It's
of
over.
symbolized it was over.
Probably a little bit of both.
But yeah, it was like a 10-day class. It was 5 days of classroom and then 5 days in the field. And one of the thing that sticks with me the most is in the classroom thing, they preach that as long as you were properly hydrated, your body could go up to 30 days on water alone. I know for the days I was in the field, I didn't eat anything. They gave us a potato. I didn't eat it. We killed a rabbit and they showed us like how to skin it and cook it and steam it and all that. I didn't eat any of that. Um, so I made it.
Yeah.
It sucked. It's a good
Yeah.
school though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. That's pretty wild. So you guys are advancing and we're talking how much time passed between you guys first getting there and it becoming, not comfortable, but like as you're advancing, you guys are now supported as you guys are like making advancements?
Um, so we got there at the beginning of October and we left like the second week of January. Honestly, I wouldn't say it was never comfortable. Because there was at Camp Rhino, there was probably 40 or 50 of us in one tent.
Oh shit.
Like I've got a picture like me, Tony, and Feldman. I mean, we are tight,
Mhm. Mhm.
which kept us warm.
Right. What are the temperatures like over there during that time of the year between October and January?
Freezing ass cold.
Freezing ass
The
cold. Yeah.
coldest I've ever been in my life. And we were in the southern part of Afghanistan. So the northern part of Afghanistan, which I would go to later, was even colder.
Right. So your military issued gear at that point, like
Did not
not
work.
didn't work?
No.
Not even close.
I mean, it was shit to begin with. Later in my career, we got this Mastiff stuff that was really good, but we didn't have anything. I mean, I remember my mom sending long johns. I mean, it
Yeah.
took like 3 months for it to get there, but
Like,
she
well,
got it there.
she did. Old Livy.
I remember we got when we were able to finally get an email back to our we were able to send an email back. This is TMI. I think the email had 2 words on it, basically, like, "Send beer and pussy." And, a couple months later, we get this box that's to the CH-53 flight line, and it had one little, like, mouthwash bottle full of whiskey or something, and it had a Barbie doll, and I still have that Barbie doll.
Oh my
I
gosh.
still got Combat Barbie. I mean, she's been on well, that was my 3rd deployment, so she's been on 6 deployments.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and, I'll try to dig that out for the next one to show everybody. She's got tattoos now, she's got a weapon.
Oh, we have to yeah, we
She's
have to see that. You know what I was thinking too would be really cool, like, I remember, the doors of the CH-53 and each deployment you guys would change up um, the imagery and the wording, and it was like a whole theme essentially
yeah,
going
door
out.
art. Mhm.
Yeah, the door art, okay.
My,
Uh,
uh, my picture never changed, but the
okay,
words the
because it was
words
the
changed.
yeah,
So it was the Metallica skull, which on is usually like this, but I couldn't do it like that, so it's like this.
yep,
And that first deployment to Afghanistan, it was, creeping death.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then when we went back to Iraq in 2003, it was No Remorse. So it was always a Metallica song, but yeah.
dang. So then you guys come back stateside by January of
No, I think we got back right at the beginning of March,
oh, okay, I was gonna say,
February.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so that would be
because we got married March 23rd, right?
2002?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember we weren't that long until we got married.
Right.
It was
Well,
pretty.
this is just crazy to me to think about this well, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but well, I'm having so many thoughts right now. But so, first of all, I remember you proposing to me. I think I had Brian's already born. We're living in the Baroness house. This is prior to your obviously prior to 9/11. We're going to get married, but you proposed to me. Think I had just had my wisdom teeth taken out. Or I was just getting over being really, really sick, and I was on the couch, and you just came in and you proposed to me. And then later on, you're like, "Yeah, I was gonna do this, like, really super cool thing and, like, get" next time we were up in the 53, and I was gonna propose to you up there, and I was like, "Why the fuck didn't you do that?"
Yeah.
Whatever. But anyways, so you had proposed, and so we were already making wedding plans. Then September 11th happened, which obviously blindsided everybody. And so I believe it was pretty up in the air on whether you guys were making it back from being over there or not. But we still had a wedding date and everything. Like I had planned and done everything. You got home in March and then we got excuse me, and then we got married March 23rd. March 23rd?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's just crazy to me to think about that. Like, because I had said before, God, I felt bad. I think I not think, I know I had apologized to you because I just really, it never dawned on me what you had gone through. I know I did not ask. We've talked about not really knowing one another very much because we didn't really spend that much time together. I mean, we did spend time together, but we just, I don't know, we didn't nurture our relationship. We got pregnant and then we did what,
I mean, looking back on it, for me anyway, I think the worst part was the lack of communication. And it wasn't the lack of communication between you and I. It was literally the lack of communication
mhm,
because we had no communication. I don't know if you remember, but the only real letters I sent you were called MRE postcards. We would cut the MRE box off and they had designed the MRE to the inside part of it was kinda like a postcard,
yep,
a place where you can put the address, write a little note, and then just send it off, we didn't need a stamp or nothing.
right,
So, I would try to send I would think I may have sent one every day or every other day, like, I tried to send as many as I could, uh,
right,
but there's no telling how long it took to get there. And, you could have written me a letter on Halloween, and I didn't get it until February when I was
right,
on the ship. I mean, there was just no communication available.
yeah,
So then your mind takes over. What are they doing?
right,
Is Brian okay? What? Because you don't know.
mm-mm,
Um, and it would suck for you because you don't know what's up with me and you still have your job and you're taking care of our kid, whereas yeah, I didn't know, but I was able to compartmentalize to focus on you know keeping my my plane and everything in it as safe as I could and keeping us alive, you know
mhm,
uh which so the lack of communication sucked. It just
yeah,
really, really sucked. But to your point, coming back and getting married in like the next 3 weeks was obviously the thing to do. I mean,
I mean, isn't
um,
that what everybody does after
yeah, I mean, why would you not? And I do seem to remember that time from March until January was pretty good because, I was back from deployment, so theoretically I shouldn't be deploying again for another year and a half, things were pretty good, and then January comes around and, I get a call on a weekend and I'm gone 4 days later
yeah,
for an undisclosed time.
right,
Like, we had no idea. I think
right,
that deployment was 7 or 8 months.
yeah,
Well, but, what are you supposed to do, right? I mean,
Well, I think it may be hard for people to even imagine, like you're saying, like the lack of communication, um, during that time. It's hard to think 25 years back or 24 years back or whatever it's been now because we have so much technology. Like this wasn't even a thing back then. Now I can sit in Southern Oregon and you can sit out in Las Vegas and we can have a conversation like in real time. That was not the case. I mean, we were still like caveman shit back then.
my last 2 deployments to Afghanistan and, 11, 12, 12, 13,
Yeah.
we coulda done this there,
Right. Right.
and that's 10, 12 years later.
Right. Yeah.
As long as they didn't have the base, internet shut down because of an issue or, a fighting or whatever,
Yeah.
we coulda I FaceTimed if you had an iPhone, I had an iPhone, I coulda FaceTimed you every day from Afghanistan,
Right. Right. So it
you
was
know?
like, I mean, it was very caveman-esque, like you're saying. You were
Yeah.
ripping apart freaking MRE boxes and sending them for letters. So we didn't have a lot of communication that happened. Then we got hitched. We were raising a kid. Um, you know, like just I think so I got out of my EAS was February 22nd, 2002.
Right.
So I had gotten out right before we got married. And then, yeah, and then we're doing things. And I remember just being part of such an incredible unit of people at that time. Like the people that had come into our lives that were there through a lot of, the things that we went through and stuff. And so that was really special. It was really special what we had, like you were saying, like a lot of the uncles coming over and just spending time with B and the backyard barbecues and the surprise birthday parties and, just all of those kind of things. I seriously think you had thrown me that surprise birthday party that January right before you guys ended up taking off. I think that was that. I feel like that would have been that January because you were gone the January before. Do you remember?
Uh, surprise.
You, like, full on invited everybody. I was out doing something and I came back and it was like, I that's one of the old that was like I think I've been surprised like 5 times in my life. That was one of the only times I've ever been that surprised in my life. I had no idea that you were throwing me a birthday party. Kimberly was there. I can't remember some of the other I mean, Kimberly's still a staple. Like, I still will, keep in touch with her via Facebook or something every once in a while,
Right.
but there's not many people and, like that. But, like, Anna and George and Ryan and Tony and just, the crew, like everybody that, 361, we had been together for a couple of years. I had been together with you guys for a couple of years at that point. So,
I was in 465 at this point.
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it all meshes,
Yeah. Well,
I
because
mean,
everybody, yeah. Once you're in, I mean, once you're a 53 guy, it doesn't matter if you're 361 or 465. Everybody kind of, you guys know each other at that point.
right.
But anyway,
And then
yeah,
let's see, we got about 30 more minutes, right?
I have us at like an hour right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think if we flash forward and get into like the 2000 year 2003, that one might need its own.
It does. It needs its own time.
I mean, personally, that year kind of sucked, but professionally, that year's probably what put me on the map for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I definitely want to give it the time that it deserves to unfold just, naturally and not rushed. So, yeah. But okay, so at this point we're plugging along. Favorite moments now that you have Sunny, right? Which is obviously very fast forwarded, but you have Sunny now. You're an active part of being with him every single day. Things that you remember about Brian at that age you know, from that period of time kind of that we're talking about right now between you getting back from that deployment and then, married, like getting married. Cause I mean, like the wedding, we didn't even talk about the wedding, how hilarious it is. Brian's like walking down the aisle drinking a beer. Just
That was well, when you said favorite moments, like, that came to mind for sure. Going to that tattoo convention with Mike Miller and bringing him back the little, like, flame beanie and the little onesie with the, like, naked pinup chick on it.
yes,
Uh, and, he had, like, some little shell-toed Adidas.
so cute.
That one.
Because when we were in Long Beach for that tattoo convention, we also got to see, Jesse James
Yeah, yeah, West Coast Choppers.
at West Coast Choppers, that's what it was, yeah. I
Which your
remember I
which your
remember
dad 6 degrees of everything, like, your dad built him an engine
Yep,
to build him a hot saw, right?
yep, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we had one birthday, he had a Bob the Builder bouncy, and, of course, at the end of the day, we're all boozing it up, and I jumped off the house and put Bob the Builder in a headlock because we had those neighbors next door that were super nice. I can't remember their name, but they were great neighbors. I remember Mama Ward, Sandy Ward, had a video of it, and I remember that neighbor just laughing, cracking up as I jump off the house onto this bounce house, onto the top of it.
So, remember Brian had that little
Harley Davidson Power Wheels.
yes,
He would ride in a circle. He had that, and then he had the John Deere Gator
yep,
that he would just do hot laps in the backyard,
yeah, the
like, to the
John
point where he would pass out, like, he would fall asleep.
he fell asleep, and one day, he's out there just, like, feral, riding his little Harley Davidson around, and all I can hear is, like, because remember it had that little engine, and it was, like, where that little button, it made the little engine sound, and so I can hear the engine going off, and then it was like he was falling asleep and, like,
Yeah,
hitting his head on the engine and then,
yeah,
like, coming back out of it and, like, falling asleep, and then he fell asleep, and then we put a bunch of beer cans or beer bottles
yeah,
all around him and took a picture of him
yeah.
passed out on his Harley.
I mean, he would literally ride those things in circles until he fell asleep. I
Mhm.
mean, he fell asleep on both of them multiple
Yeah,
times.
right? Or yeah, till the battery died.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he's such a cute little shit. His little rings, do you remember when he first started crawling and those the little tower rings that
uh-huh,
stacked and he would like those were like his safety rings, and he wouldn't go anywhere without them. He had to crawl
no,
everywhere with them.
yeah.
Uh, So cute. Such a cute little bugger back then. I mean, still, but yeah.
He was a good kid.
Mhm.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. He was a good
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. He was so smart too, and, like, your mom like, he was talking super early, and so bump, bump, every time we go over, Grandma Libby'd be bump, bump, and he'd do that. He could tell you directions. He'd be like, "Turn here, turn here." He knew where to turn on all the roads. I remember one time, he's like, "Mama, nougat." I'm like, "What? Nougat?" I'm like, "What is nougat? Brian, what do you mean? Tell me," and he was just barely able to talk. "Yeah, nougat." And they, like, made, like, a dancing kinda, like, motion. I'm like, "Music? Yeah." That was his that was his word for music was nougat.
And
Like,
he would say, "Huh? Huh?" He said that a lot. It was just super cute.
me and Rachel, he called us the other day. I was in Idaho. Well, Caitlin's getting married, and so I went out to Idaho to go do dress shopping. And Brian called when we were driving back from Boise up to her place. And so we were talking to him, and, Rachel was like, "Oh my gosh, you were so smart." She goes, "It had to have been all that baby Einstein."
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, he watched Baby Einstein.
He loved baby Einstein.
I
Yeah.
mean, Sonny is super good with numbers. He's, and again, I wasn't around enough to be able to compare
Yeah.
him to Brian, unfortunately, but Sonny is superb with numbers, and we give all the credit to Alpha Blocks, which is just a cartoon that teaches you how to count. I mean, there's that Baby Einstein was really good.
Mhm.
There's so much more learning things for kids now, you
Yeah.
know? It's just crazy.
Yep. He was hardcore baby Einstein and Thomas the Tank the years later, it would have been Bob the Builder and Thomas the Tank
Honestly.
Engine and all of it. So he definitely got a little of that OCD from both of us and getting real super hyper focused on it. Anyway, well, I feel like this has been a good I think this is a good ending point. I think we covered a lot today. It feels really
Great.
good. I'm happy that, well, I'm happy that I got myself into the headspace. have just been feeling like I'm dealing with a lot just in life in general. It's just, one of those kind of things where it seems like everything like flows pretty smoothly. And then sometimes things just get a little, it's mostly for me what I mean when I say that is I do a lot of work to heal old patterns and old wounds, And so when I get to a new place that I'm asked to go deeper into what is that really? Why are you still like, why is that still a trigger or what is that? It's like the universe always, God, whatever you want to call it, always brings these situations or these circumstances in order for me to like go, okay, Raylan, we're going a little bit deeper on this one now. And that's what I've been in for, I don't know, a couple of months now. And it's not a bad thing. Like in the past, I would have thought of it as a bad thing. And I would have probably experienced a lot more deeper depression. We live in the Pacific Northwest, you know that. And we don't get a lot of sun. And so, there's like all of these kind of things. And I'm noticing like these patterns where I'm just like, whew, man, my mental health is not great right now. Like, I had to have some serious conversations with my family and be like, I know this is the phase. Now is not forever, but man, I am struggling a little bit. And this is typical for me this time of year with the weather the way that it is. And so, getting back on here and doing this has reignited and felt pretty good. So thank you again for reaching out and making the time and being here for this really important series or whatever that we're doing together.
I'm honored to be on it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. So 2000 we'll wrap it up here and then we'll start our next pod somewhere around 2003.
Yep.
We'll give it the time it deserves. Okay.
All right.
I love you.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it for today's chapter of My Heart of the Story. Before you go, take a breath. Honor whatever rose up in you today, even if it caught you off guard. Thank you for meeting me here in the beautiful, brutal, honest, messy middle. For being a part of this living and breathing story that doesn't need to be fixed, just felt. And when the world gets loud, when the weight feels like too much, when you forget who you are, remember this. You are human, so stay wild. And come back to your heart. It's still here, still beating, still yours. So until we meet again, big love, deep roots, soft shoulders, brave heart.